I was gonna try to think of a thing.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck making this entertaining.
You don't have to think of a thing. Just
well, the
introduce
intro can be entertaining, just the summary can't be. Hello, and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By, episode 325.
Whoa.
I'm Chris, and joining me today are...
Ames.
Caitlin.
And Jakey.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, no, not
Jakey's
Jakey.
back.
Back again.
Jakey's back.
Thank you.
Run for your life.
Oh no. Today we will be looking at Fusion and Rogue Planet.
Oh, boy. It's certainly a week of Enterprise, isn't it?
This was some TV that somebody made.
Starting to regret this project.
Let's rewatch TAS instead.
TAS, yeah, I think that's fine.
No, let's just, I don't know, DS9 again. That's a good time.
No,
Or
we'll
we
stick
just-
with this.
I would be much better able to comment on Deep Space Nine now, having watched it like 4 times.
7 times. First up in Fusion,
Ugh.
it's picture day on the NX-1,
Oh, class photos.
but then some Vulcans show up.
Oh, those guys.
Wait, this is class photo day, right? Or is next week
No,
class
it's the
photo?
next one.
Fuck!
Rogue Planet is class photo
Fuck!
day. Sorry,
Fuckity-fuck.
there's nothing good in Fusion, so.
Yeah, this is Nebula TV screen day.
Do I cut
Oh,
this?
this is book. This is Archer looking at a book.
Right.
And asking T'Pol, do you recognize my book? And she's like, but it's your book. Why the fuck would I recognize? God
Well, I
damn it,
think-
Archer.
We'll let you start over and then do the picture day joke in the second
Nope,
intro.
Chris is keeping all this.
I will decide during the edit. I will be repeating myself about the picture day regardless, but we will find out if this stays or becomes the post credit or is deleted forever.
We trust
Should it
you.
stay or
For
should it
some
go
reason.
now?
So either way, first up in Fusion, it's the Arachnid Nebula. Ooh,
Yay.
spooky. Too bad it's not
Spider.
October.
Arachnia.
Yeah. Queen Arachnia.
Ooh, I love her.
Yeah,
we
but
like
she's
her.
not here.
That sounds like good Star Trek.
Yeah, but then we
Don't
meet.
tease us.
We're looking at the Arachnid Nebula, but then the Vulcans are calling. Bummer. But
Archer's
wait a minute.
already pissed.
Wait a second. This ain't normal Vulcans. This is Vatosh Kator. Bless me. Oh wait, that's what they call Vulcans without logic. So these not Sarek. Jesus Christ, total opposite.
Cybok.
These proto-cyboks are running around being all like, we still try to control our emotions, we just let them out a little. And, there's a fun fat friend Vulcan, there's a Captain Vulcan that likes chicken, and then there's fucking Talaris.
Ugh.
Man, fuck this guy.
Fuck
Yeah, fuck
that
boy
man.
The most
Fucking date
punchable
rape.
face in the
Oh,
quadrant.
he had
Like-
what? Who's it? Martin Shkreli face?
Oh,
Every
wow.
moment
Oh my
he was
God,
on
yeah.
screen, I wanted to pick up a 2x4 and break it across his face.
See,
like-
that fits the puzzle, because I kept thinking he looked like an even worse Tobey Maguire. Sorry, Tobey Maguire.
I like Tobey Maguire.
He's like
I love
Tobey
Tobey
Maguire if
Maguire,
Tobey
but-
Maguire ate a gallon of smug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or if he accidentally was crossbred with Martin Shkreli.
Yep.
Yeah,
A gallon of smug. I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll talk more about him later a lot. Probably mostly what we'll talk about, because this fucking monster realizes there was a little spark of rebellion there buried deep into Paul's bob wig, and he decides to kind of tease it out. But then he goes way too fucking far in the worst mind melts in Star Trek 6. And to his credit, Archer kicks him off the ship. And there's a B-plot where we fall back on the classic, you always have to forgive your parent even if they were awful just because they're dying. And then he's not dying after all, so what a ripoff.
Aw, but Trip gets to be sweet about it.
Yes, he does. So this, my first question about Talaris here.
'Kay.
Man, don't name your Vulcan child something that ends in Riss, or they'll end up being awful.
Penis?
Valaris.
Valaris.
Oh, I get it. I always assume it's a penis joke.
No. With me, it's only a 50-50 chance. So, I remembered this episode. It's like, oh, this is going to be uncomfortable. So, for someone who hadn't seen it, it was still patently obvious from the word go that Teleris was going to be awful, right?
Oh yeah, just seeing his face, you're like, oh no, I can already tell if this guy drove up in an Uber, I would not get in.
Yeah. Like, I remember a famous complaint Stephen King had about the casting of Jack Nicholson in The Shining is that he was like, well, of course he's going to go insane. It's Jack Nicholson. But there it works.
But he does it so well.
He does. But you're going to a Stephen King movie. Something's going to go wrong. In this casting kind of gives away the ending. Like, the guy is just so insufferable from the off.
But is that a casting thing or is that an acting thing? Like,
well,
do you think
I haven't seen him in anything else, so I can't tell.
That's true.
Yeah, well, either way, yeah. Either way, it's they fucked up with that character. Either, they should have either reined the actor in, or if that was just his default mode, they shouldn't have cast him.
I definitely knew he was a piece of shit, but I didn't know how much of a piece of shit because I didn't make I didn't draw the obvious conclusion from the title.
Yeah, it's kind of an innocuous title.
Well, that's the thing, though. If you don't know it's coming, it's actually probably kind of a surprise that mind melds are apparently this forgotten, forbidden thing, because we're just so from TOS on. It's just been like, how many times did fucking Tuvok turn on? Let me try a mind meld. This might fix it.
Every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Motherfucker love mind melds. So,
I mean, if you think about it, it's going to be like a mind meld is an extremely dangerous thing, if not done by somebody that knows what the fuck they're doing. And if the Vulcans have completely suppressed the practice in their society, it's like if you make mind melds illegal, only criminals will do mind melds, right?
Oh boy.
Or
they
at
need
least
a second amendment for mind melding, apparently.
I just, they didn't do a very good job of scrubbing the practice from the history books if this dickhead was able to find the manual.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about mind melds. No one uses them anymore, to the point that T'Pol has never even heard of one before.
I mean, that in and of itself, I guess, isn't necessarily too weird, but what does feel strange is that within a century, they'll just be kind of back.
Yeah, everyone does.
Especially if this is how they're being fucking used,
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the first mind meld in 300 years, and it was a rapist. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not to spoil anything, I hope, but it does get fleshed out later in the series, the mind meld situation.
That's right, but I don't think they ever really get into, because I guess there's really no elegant way to do it, but we never do quite find out how it goes from this thing that was lost to, it's just normal again by the time of TOS.
Yeah, we can speculate when we get there, I think.
Yeah,
I enjoy that. Going back to our friend Teleris, or our fucking man who should be locked up forever, Teleris.
No, Finny tube that fuck.
Yeah, God,
but for real.
I hate him to death. Yeah, so I today re-listened to an old episode of Intertrectional that I'll probably put up on the Facebook because it's a very, very deep conversation about a couple different instances of mind rape in Star Trek and how they kind of compare to each other and how they're all fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
So this one's obviously on there. The others are Violations, the Troy episode.
And Troy.
No, Troy 7 and T'Pol, because they also bring up Retrospect.
Mm-hmm. They have to bring up 6, right?
Yeah, Valeris.
No, they don't.
Oh, that's like the prototype.
That's like the in my opinion, the most disturbing one. If
I'm
only
torn.
because of the way it's acted.
I'm kind of torn actually between this one and 6.
See, these ones are the ones in this episode are all explicitly sexual instances.
That's why I'm a little more creeped out by this one.
It's very creepy.
The thing with 6 is it's still wrong and horrible and again, it's that we said this before. Clearly, that's the point. The whole point of the scene is this never should have happened. This is fucked up. This is one of Spock's biggest mistakes of his entire life.
Yeah, check out our blogtivities. We talked about it in how it's one of Spock's worst moments because it makes you feel so uncomfortable.
But it's not necessarily framed. I mean, again, the metaphor is there, but it's not framed quite as sexually. Also, he goes in differently. From the off, Teleris is really just predatory. His intentions from the get-go are vile. You can just tell. And there's, to me, something again, it's all bad. I'm not trying to parse badness here, but what is, in a way, it's almost more disturbing just the single quiet no over, like, Valeris's more pain shout. They're both terrible. I just don't know which one I hate more.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth debating too much.
Yeah, no, the more I talk about it, the more I realize this is like,
one.
yeah.
They're not in competition, thank God,
No.
because the answer
But
is
here's the thing.
no.
They're both upsetting as fuck.
Like the thing, this one is, it's almost, it's very date rapey, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
it's not like he sneaks in and pins
she
her down
trusted him.
and melds her there. No, like he like, in a sense, not literally drugs her, but he convinces her to go, off her meditation routine, which fucks her up.
Yeah.
And then kind of lulls her into this sense of security and takes advantage of her. And then when she does say, and at first she's kind of like, okay, this is something. And then when it goes too far, she's like, okay, stop. And that's where it becomes a problem, because he doesn't stop and she has to like physically separate herself from him, which is like, I can't, like, a sexual assault victim watching this episode would probably have, a fucking PTSD incident just because of how allegorical it is.
Yeah.
Overtly.
Yeah.
Well, in so much of it, even like before they even begin, he's like, I mean, we could just do standard guided meditation, but it's not as good. Like, that is him explaining why he shouldn't have to wear a condom.
Ugh. Well, here's
Like,
a question. How long had they been quasi seeing each other is the wrong word for it, but, interacting in this way? Because at one point, Archer's like, oh yeah, the two of them, like, at first T'Pol didn't want to be seen with him, and now the two are practically inseparable. So was there a large passage of time there while they were studying
it
this
seemed like
nebula?
it was only like 2 days or something.
Well, no, because how long did he say the repairs were going to take?
4 days.
I don't
That's
remember
it,
what the repairs were going to take, but I remember them saying that it would take, weeks to study the nebula on their own.
That's what
But
was weak.
then they said they were going to help, so it should be done quicker.
Yeah, he said, and he didn't give us time. The captain was just like, yeah, it'll take significantly less time.
Yeah. Like, this is my question, and like, is it effective? Is this like I was thinking, and maybe this is because of in light of other Star Trek, but like, I feel like they did a decent job, maybe, and maybe this is just me, maybe I'm wrong, but like, it feels like they took this more seriously than they've taken previous metaphorical assaults.
They've always taken them seriously is the thing. And here's where my listening to these other episodes in the intertextual episode brings a lot of this back to my memory, in that in the Troy episode in Violations, like, they believed Troy right away that something was wrong, and they looked into it. And granted, that her fucking rapist was actively throwing them off the trail didn't help her case, but like, they believed they wanted to help Troy.
Right.
Retrospect, the 7 of 9 episode with that fucking asshole.
Is that the bad hypnosis one?
That's the bad hypnosis one where we're never meant to know if he did anything or not.
That episode was just such a disaster in so many ways.
Because it's so
poorly
poorly handled.
They did take her seriously.
They took her seriously, and it was a serious inquiry to determine what exactly happened. Because, it's an actual, like, affront.
Yeah.
Is that the one where the doctor convinces Seven that she was?
Yeah. Well, maybe
with the hypnosis.
Well, like, that's the implication is that, like, she may not have been the doctor like implanted memories.
Yeah, it's a really bad, like, you're right, they take it seriously, but the problem is the whole thing is undermined by this wanting to, what's the word?
Ambiguate?
No, it sort of shine a light on or interrogate this kind of real world method that had been used and perhaps improperly in the past, but like, this wasn't the forum for it, or at least the method they chose to investigate, I guess, for lack of a better term, this repressed memories kind of thing, which the jury is still, well, I don't know about anymore, but at the time the jury was kind of out on scientifically.
Right. And then the big difference with this episode is Sure. After the rape has happened, Archer is on T'Pol's side, even though it seems like he's more like personally offended that Vulcans whom he thought he was gonna like turn out to not be likable because I hate Archer. But he'd spent the whole first 3/5 of the episode, him and Phlox both, telling T'Pol, oh look, Vulcans that we like. Maybe you should hang around with them and something might rub off, and maybe this is a better rationality for you to start having. Even though she told them time and again she didn't want to.
Well, this is good old-fashioned humaning, right, on the part of Archer here, because he sees these Klingons. He sees these Vulcans as ones who share human values to him, or like maybe not values, but share human qualities, and that he can get along with. They're like the George Bush. I could have a beer with these Vulcans. Like that's how Archer votes.
Well, I mean, they're working on their own boner pills. I can't think of anything more human.
Yeah, why not?
My God, you're right.
But and we know already that Archer feels that other Vulcans are stick up the ass, so he thinks he's doing a good thing by and then there's this whole like multiculturalism idea that you should expose yourself to Paul to these Vulcans with different ideas, and like he's harped on to Paul about that all along, about like, oh, you should be more open-minded about shit. We should go investigate the scary ship with zombies on it, and we should do that, But, I think he doesn't listen.
No.
And that's his problem.
I think, speaking as someone who regrets having been kind about this show for so long, and is generally annoyed by Archer, I think, I don't want to, I think you say, you should hang out with him, but like, he wasn't, like, there was maybe 1 or 2 scenes at best, and I think, like, he didn't know anything was wrong, because he didn't, like, when she told him something was wrong, it seems like he acted on it pretty quickly. Like, at first he was just being Archer.
She was in
like,
sick bay.
Well, yeah, but if she's, I don't know how he could have, like, known ahead of time that Talaris, who by his own admission, that was the one he barely interacted with, it sounds like. I really don't know how he was supposed to tell that Talaris was gonna be bad news. Like, we're kind of asking him to pre-crime the situation.
Did you see his face?
Well, yes, but characters in shows.
Yeah, and like it was clear, like when Archer assigned to Paul to be the one to go work on their ship with the scans.
Yeah, and her eyes are screaming, "Oh God, not me!"
Yeah, and it's very like stereotypical man behavior.
This is for your own good.
Yeah, I know what's good for you. I know what's best. You should broaden your horizons and expose yourselves to this other culture, and trust me, I'm the dad of the ship.
Well, but in his defense, I kind of think too, like, because I feel like Trip makes this point about, like, if I was the only human on a ship and we saw a bunch of humans, I would want to hang out with them. Like, I kind of wonder if it wasn't so much we want you to become more like these people as it was like, you haven't seen other Vulcans for however many months, and the last time you did, they were trying to like remove you from the ship. Maybe, having some Vulcan time would be good for her.
Oh, no, I disagree. I think it was all because they had a different perspective that Archer liked better. Like, he brings up to her, hell, the other Vulcans have been on the ship for however long now, and I notice you haven't been hanging out with them. And she says, I prefer not to. Not, I want to, they're my own kind, and therefore maybe I want to see my own kind. It's not these ones. And I know what they're doing is dangerous. And she says that. And I also have to give Archer, I wrote in loud letters in my notes in the final scene, because I was waiting in that scene when, in the final scene of the episode where T'Pol is meditating and Archer comes in and he crouches down to give her the Archer chat. And I write in my notes, Archer had better apologize. And I'm waiting for him to apologize. To feel like maybe he could have done something or heard her literally ever. And he says, well, maybe your Vulcan thing isn't, has something onto it. It's like, that's not what this is about, Archer. You just harmed your crew member. Fuck you.
I would also say, though, like, she says they're dangerous, but the Vulcans say everything that they don't like is dangerous.
It's because everything is. It's space.
I'm just saying, I could see him kind of like, he's seen how inflexible Vulcans can be. And for all that there is a lot of obvious human bigotry he has to overcome, like, every time you turn around, the Vulcans are saying things they don't like are dangerous. And sometimes they're actually dangerous. Other times it's like, no, you just don't like this. So after a while, it's just kind of like...
The Vulcan who cried wolf.
If everything is dangerous, nothing is safe. So I'm just saying, like, it's not to take away any kind of... I don't want to put too much... Does Archer hold blame? Yes. I don't necessarily think he has as much, though, as you're trying to leverage on him in this case.
Yeah, I'll say also, there's one guy, right, Talaris, who's a piece of shit. But it seems like, the others, Kov and Captain
Tavin.
Volko, seem perfectly fine. So it could also just, be a case of painting all of them with the brush.
That's another thing that definitely annoys me with this episode is, like, we get to see this kind of other group of Vulcans, but the nature of the story is going to make it that we're going to focus on this guy and go, maybe Vulcans are right. But
yeah, what exactly is this story trying to tell us about Vulcans? That's what I really don't understand.
Yeah, it just seems like this guy actually is just a piece of shit, but the others are people.
You know what else is a little bizarre that I realize now that we're 17 episodes into this show? T'Pol is still the only female Vulcan whom we've seen in the whole show so far. And even Kov mentions to Trip, oh, look, you got women on your ship. And Trip's like, yeah, like a third to a half of our crew members are women.
Which, only a third? Like, what? They're half the population.
Yeah, but how many of them get into the exploration sciences?
Well, because of sexism, not enough.
Well, there you go.
You solved it.
A lot of lady Vulcans so far, yeah.
Yeah, and that also had me thinking that, like, I wonder if the writers could have told this story or told this, I don't know how to put this. I wonder if they could have gotten their message across if it had been another crew member.
Not the sexy one?
Well, just not if they could have removed the sexual element from the encounter.
Yeah.
And made it more allegorical and less overt what they were doing.
Well, then Trip might get knocked up again.
Yeah, well, like, what if it was, Trip, maybe Trip and Talaris are paired up, and Talaris is like, hey, man, there's this really cool, Vulcan thing we do on the Vulcan ship with our minds. Ooh.
The grossest quote I wrote down out of Wikipedia was, Brannon Braga wanted to bring sensuality to Star Trek and called this episode a twisted tale of seduction, like a Vulcan 9.5 weeks.
Barf.
Ugh.
9.5 weeks has its own horrible, fucked up problems, so that's not totally wrong. But calling anything about this sensual or suggesting that it was a seduction is foul.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, what? No.
This is a fucking story about a predator.
Right.
Straight up groomer, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, he stares at her every moment.
9.5 weeks kind of has goes way too far. So I wouldn't say that there isn't some of that element to 9.5 weeks, but I don't think it's a perfect comparison.
I've heard of it. I know it's kind of infamous, but I've never seen it and therefore know nothing about it.
I haven't seen it. I've just read it.
Yes, also, since we've been on this for a while, but like I kind of said a little earlier too, I like Kov. I like his interactions with Trip. They're all fun. But god damn it, I am so sick of these stories of, like, you have to forgive your shitty parent. Why?
Because
why?
The parent is looking for somewhere to put his Katra.
Well.
Actually, if they don't do the mind melds, do they do the Katras?
Probably not. Well, remember, even in 3, like they were talking about how like the transferal of the Katra at least was kind of like that must have to have come back too, because how else do you transfer a Katra?
I don't know. I have no idea.
We're also kind of assuming that the Vulcans are generally a monoculture.
Well, it's Star Trek.
Yeah, it's true. But for all we know, the mind meld and the Katra and all that stuff is just something that's practiced by one particular religious group.
Yeah.
You know, like, because T'Pau, right?
T'Pau!
Because she was the one that did the transference in the end of 3, right?
I think.
Maybe? That's right.
Sounds right.
No idea.
Or some old lady.
Yeah, or an equivalent to T'Pau.
Equivalent old lady. You know, so if she's like some kind of Vulcan priest that does this stuff, and maybe Sarek's just part of that religion.
Yeah.
I wish we knew more, but alas, they are all monocultures.
Yeah. But no, I don't even mean just in the sense of Vulcans. It's a narrative that comes up all the time in all sorts of things. It's like, sometimes parents are just awful and don't deserve forgiveness.
Yeah. And
it's just this exhausting fucking thing that we keep coming back to as a culture, and the sooner we break away from it, the better.
I think, you know, in terms of Kov's story, it also sounds like his father did him dirty.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to go out and pursue his own life, and his dad disowned him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound, at least, you know, we don't get the whole story. We just get Kov telling us, oh yeah, I made the call, but maybe I wonder if there was an apology.
No, Vulcans don't apologize.
That would be illogical.
Yeah. But as you said, Ames, the scene with Trip, even though I disagree with it, was done well.
Yeah, for a moment I was like, oh, is Trip trying to like equate the father relationship with him never getting with a certain girl he liked? But then by the end you're like, okay, I see where you went with this story. It's good for you, Trip. You found your way there.
Yeah, and he probably hasn't felt regret. And yeah, it would suck, so.
Yeah. I like how in this show, even the character who we're told throughout the episode is knocking on death's door. By the end of the episode, they're fine.
Yep.
You know, something that bothered me. So given that the other Vulcans on the other ship seem to be reasonable, good-natured
the other
people.
two we've met.
Yeah, the other two that we've met.
Briefly.
It strikes me that Archer, at least we don't see it, but Archer just basically sends Teleris away and doesn't, like, I would have liked to have known that Archer, you know,
reported his ass.
I'd like to know that for certain too.
And that there were like consequences, because otherwise you have this fucking guy who's a fucking menace, who's, you know, the next ship that they encounter that has a Vulcan on it. If there's a Vulcan woman on that ship, you know, it's just going to be another victim.
Yeah, say what you will about the Vulcans without logic. This guy is doing it wrong and needs to be out of your special club.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, of course, until now, they haven't seen another Vulcan in a while. Regular Vulcans would avoid them at all human cost. So, like, yeah, maybe up until now he's been fine, but now you know he's not fine. He is. I'd say you got to get rid of him, but then he might go to Vulcan. So maybe shoot him into the sun.
Yes, agree.
Or ship him off. No, you know what? Put him in a box like normal, but instead of Abu Dhabi, mail him to Kronos.
The sun.
I mean, I would imagine that the Vulcan, that there must be some sort of Vulcan justice penal system of some kind, or even just like mental health situation where people, because like every Vulcan is theoretically capable of doing these mind melds. And if it's so dangerous and so high potential for abuse, I would assume that every now and again, there must just be some nut on Vulcan that goes around melding people. What do?
It reminded me a little of Random Thoughts, that guy that was trading in like Tuvok's memories of watching Event Horizon.
I kind of wonder. Yeah. I mean, this is gonna sound kind of gruesome, but I mean, it's a gruesome act. Like, can you just kind of shut off that part of the Vulcan brain? Can you make it so that they can't meld?
The old lobotomy.
Oh, wow.
Chris is a monster. That's fascinating.
So
Well,
I
Jack
mean, shove them
Nicholson,
into the
you're gonna
sun. That's one
Gonna
thing.
Yeah, but
McMurphy
people-
these guys.
People chemically castrate sex offenders to this day, I believe. So
That's what I mean. It's if we're talking metaphor, that's kind of the metaphorical version of that. I don't know. Like, we don't. Minor spoilers for Strange New World season 1. We do see a hint of Vulcan criminal rehabilitation, but it is unclear who it's for. If it's all criminals or specific ones or what. So we don't know a lot about the Vulcan Law and Order. Bum Jerry Orbach.
Yeah. And certainly not at this point in history, too, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Thing is, I'm not like, obviously this episode was very
Triggering.
and
Upsetting.
But
that's its goal.
yeah, exactly. Like,
But
I
what
feel
else
like,
is its goal? It doesn't have one.
I mean, I think its goal was to tell a story about sexual assault, and it did that.
well, honestly, like, believe rape victims is probably a pretty ahead of its time message for this time period, unfortunately.
I will say, I know we've given him a lot of stick, but I feel Bakula did a pretty good job in that scene. In
Which
that
scene?
even
Confronted
yeah,
Polaris.
because even when he was being chipper Archer, I feel like there was
Oh, yeah, you could feel it.
barely sublimated hate even then.
Yeah, he did a really nice job there was definitely an undercurrent. Like, if he had known Archer, he would have known he was in deep shit.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And I know Archer just well enough to know that he was in deep shit, you know?
I think it's really proof that, Bakula isn't the problem, the scripts are.
No, he's perfectly competent.
Yeah, it's just they're writing Archer
Well,
the way they write Archer.
except when he's being sucked out of an airlock. I wouldn't say that was perfectly competent, but everything else
That was
has
on a
been more or
lot
less
of
perfectly competent. And as
that
we
was on
discussed,
a lot of people.
that could have been Tom Paris's fault.
That's
I don't know,
Robbie, the stunt coordinator, Bakula himself. Like, there's a lot of people to blame for that.
I don't know. I also won't forgive his "I'm just trying to waste time and be an asshole" in the Andorian incident, because that was fucking terrible.
That was pretty bad. But
But
yeah, anyway,
every actor has an off day.
yeah, I mean, but anyway, overall, I don't know how I feel about this episode. I don't know if I could say that I like it, because I really don't. It is very uncomfortable watch.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that, I mean, I have to give the writers some credit for accomplishing what I think that they wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, I think whether or not there is a point to the goal is a different debate, but they definitely achieved it.
Yeah.
I don't know. As a woman on this podcast who was very uncomfortable by this whole episode and did not see a point to this episode, I actively dislike this episode.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I don't know where I stand on, like...
I don't want to see this in my Star Trek.
Right, there, yeah, and I think that's kind of, I think that's the question more than, again, I think it was well done based on what it wanted to be. Again, was it necessary? Was it a story they needed to tell? That's a very different question.
And here's the thing, it's definitely not a story they needed to tell, because Star Trek has already told us this story so many times that when I realized what had happened, I was like, oh, okay, good. So T'Pol's the one who's going to be raped in this series?
Oh,
That's
of course,
cool.
because she's the sexy lady. The sexy lady
don't know.
always gets assaulted.
Oh, she's a good-looking woman.
Yeah.
She said, I don't want her to be sexually assaulted, but...
Yeah, but her purpose isn't to be the sexy lady.
No, that's fair. I suppose that's... No, you're right. I mean, you're right.
T'Pol is specifically in this show to be...
Cat-suited.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that she has a nice bum?
Ugh.
Fucking A. But yeah, gross. And again, I definitely agree with you, Ames. Definitely uncomfortable, and like, I don't know, it just... I think the thing that really fucking pissed me off the most, too, was at the end, before he leaves, he's like, what a shame.
Right? Oh my God.
Like, oh, you could have been cool, but you're, whatever. And it's like that, it's that parting blow of like, I don't know how to explain it. It just felt very true to like the experience of just being like, oh, too bad. Like, I thought you were gonna put out, but now you're, whatever. I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like the perfect
Well, they were
The
definitely
perfect, terrible endpoint was him being like, "Ugh, gross, you're the problem," you know?
They didn't equivocate on him. He was the perfect portrait of this kind of piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I laugh so much because the two hosts of Intertrectional were both talking about how cute they found him at the beginning. And I'm like, no. From the
what is
first
wrong with these
screen.
people?
From
People
the
like
very
this are the
first
ones
screen.
who are like, Ted Bundy was hot.
Him and fucking Phlox could have had a smug off.
yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know who would have
God.
won.
I mean, that's the thing. Maybe if he wasn't making that face, he would have been cute. But he was making that face.
Yeah, he had
This guy
permanent
fucking-
smirk.
Yeah.
Vorik's grandpa.
Right.
Which actually, speaking of permanent smirk, I meant to get a screenshot of this earlier, but I forgot. Related vaguely to Phlox and his smugness and his Frasier-ness, for some unholy
Frasier-ness.
reason, in the still on Paramount Plus for the new Frasier, it's like Kelsey Grammer standing in the middle of a line of busts of, you know, famous figures, whatever.
Sure.
And for some reason, whoever touched up the ad decided he wasn't smirky enough.
Oh,
So they
no.
added this really awkward, poorly photoshopped, like, extra length to his lip, but it just makes him look
No.
like Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Dark Knight.
No.
Or
Like, it's
or
so-
Phlox in that one
Yeah,
episode where
it just-
Phlox did that smile thing.
So obviously fake. And I was like, what fucking idiot signed off on this?
It's so funny. I
How?
got Frasier advertised to me today, and I didn't even see it. I have to look now.
Oh, it's like, it is the year of our Lord 2023. How are we still having such terrible Photoshop disasters in professionally done ads?
The year of our Lord 2023. I don't know why that's so funny, but it really is.
Any final thoughts on this?
I just say, you know, I don't think that this episode was necessary. I also think that it has been done before. Another episode that I don't love, but Violations, is basically very similar
Yep.
and did it, I think, a lot better.
They did give Troy agency somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, if they had tacked on a scene where, like, T'Pol barges onto the Vulcan ship and fucking mind wipes this guy or something.
Sets it to self-destruct.
Just beats the shit out of him.
No, I think if she just, like, mind melded him and then, like mind melded him hard and then, like, walked away and then he's just, like, left a vegetable forever, like, that might work. I might be okay with that.
Jake,
Write the fanfic now.
This show won't kill people. You think it's gonna do that?
And yet it will
That's-
rape its women.
Yeah.
Well, that's a long-standing issue with, you know, not you know, yeah, there's issues with how we rate and grade and censor things.
Yeah, that's where I land on this episode. Is if you're going to subject me to this scene and this act, it better not just be for the sake of it. That is not good enough.
No,
It doesn't
that's true.
understand Vulcans, it seems. It tried. It almost became interesting with we have different interpretations of Surak. I'm like, yeah, one of them is raping? Fuck you!
Yeah. Now murder.
Murder's
no,
fine.
wait a minute. Wait.
Oh,
Before
yeah.
we move on to murder. But during that scene when he was talking about their interpretations, I said out loud to nobody but myself, "Oh, they're Lutherans." Like, they believe, like, we can read the text and get what we want from it. Like, you know, or not get what we want from it, but, like, make our own interpretations. Like, that was, I think, the big difference, isn't it? In the beginning, people who followed Lutherans was that they thought, like, yeah, you should have a Bible and read it.
I honestly don't know enough about the history of Christianity, so probably
Well, I feel like it being accessible to the masses
was a big
so
part
that
of
it wasn't necessary to have a Catholic priest, like, explain it all to you.
Read
was
the
part of it,
Latin.
I think. Huh?
Reading the Latin.
Yeah. Yeah, no shit.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like that episode where everybody was being taken away in the middle of the night, and they made a fancy table in the holodeck.
Oh, schisms.
That's why.
the joke.
Yeah,
That's the joke.
I couldn't remember the title, so I was like, what is the connection here? Thank you, Ames.
I still don't get the joke, but I remember the title.
Because,
But
like, the
when religious
churches
groups,
split,
it's called
Oh.
a schism.
it's called a schism.
Oh, good joke, Jake.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a wordplay.
Well,
Good one, Jake.
audience, How did you enjoy that journey? Was it anything like a planet wandering away from its sun? Like in Rogue Planet, our next episode?
Yeah, I gotta say, like, despite being a weird prequel, Andor is definitely worth watching.
Are you trying to connect this to Rogue One for no reason?
I think he is.
Is that not what we're going to talk about?
Andor is
Nice.
good. I do recommend watching Andor.
It's on the list for when my Star
so-
Wars fatigue has faded.
Wait a minute. So
What?
does this mean Star Trek and Star Wars both have Andorians?
Andor is just the name of
Ugh.
the guy. It's not a place or people. It's just one guy's name.
Oh, I thought it was a Star Wars planet.
Oh, I thought you were
No.
being serious.
I
Or
was.
rather, I thought you were making a joke, rather.
No, I wasn't. No, I was being
Yeah,
Yeah,
serious.
okay. Cassian Andor from Rogue One.
Yeah, I don't remember what the fuck his name is, dude.
But I had
saw
the
Rogue
same
One
thought
like
when that movie, or when that movie came out, and there was the guy. I'm like, oh, this guy's just named after where the Andorians live.
yeah, I don't
Star
remember. It's been a
Wars.
long time.
Mm.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, Rogue One was great.
But this isn't Rogue One. This is Rogue Planet. So,
Ooh.
it's picture day on the NX-1.
Get your little tiny plastic comb.
Oh, they should have had in front of one of those shitty laser backgrounds.
Yes. Oh, I had
Or
a
it's
lot of
normal-
those.
It's a normal background, but then Reed just starts firing off phase pistols.
As is his wont.
But yeah, they get interrupted when they find a rogue planet, which is a planet that has broken away from its sun. Are these real or are they just
Yes.
theoretical?
Nope, they are
okay.
emphatically real.
Great, that is terrifying. So
Oh
this
yeah,
thing's-
orbits can break down like that.
Yeah,
No, I
or
know,
like,
I
or
know.
like you can go too close to like a gas giant, and its gravity can fling
Right.
you off.
Exactly. Get pulled into another orbit.
Yeah.
Part
The
of the way and
science
stuff like that.
The science consultant on the show basically said, you know what you guys should do something with is an orphaned planet, because, they wouldn't have a sun. So it would be interesting to see what a planet without a sun might be like, because there wouldn't be light or heat or what have
Yeah.
you. So you'd have to figure out something to do. So
Well-
what did they figure out how to do?
Well, they figured out that if there were a lot of hot-ass gas vents, there wouldn't be sun, but there would still be some heat, and life could, find a way.
Ah.
And, they go up to this rogue planet, and Archer's all excited, and they're like, hey, on this massive fucking world where we could go anywhere, here's a little ship. And they hail it, and they didn't get a response. But there's also no sign there's anything wrong with the ship. So you'd think, okay, let's go to any of the other fucking places on this whole fucking planet. But no! John has to John. And is
They will like
"Oh,
me, damn it!
Let's go make friends. John! Fucking hell. So they
He
go.
wants their opinion on his picture.
Yeah, seriously. They go down and they find these hunter dudes. And just like last episode, right away there's gotta be trouble.
Oh, yeah.
And
Once you see that their glow-in-the-dark visors are
Yeah.
red, you're like, oh, these ones
Yeah.
are the evil ones.
Yeah, these are the bad guys. Don't be fooled by Archer and team having the over 9,000 eyepieces, which were the bad
Aw.
guys in Dragon Ball Z. The fucking prop design in this show.
Or Bev that once.
Yeah. Hers at least didn't look like it came out of a fucking Happy Meal, though.
Whoa. Let's give these glasses their due. They look like you had to send away 8 box tops to Kellogg's.
You're
That's
right,
a lot of
yeah.
box tops.
You're right, 6 to 8 weeks it'll get there. Anyway,
That's what I'm
box
saying.
tops plus shipping and handling, don't forget.
so
Yep. $12.95 for some reason.
So there's hunters, and they're here to hunt supposedly the wild boar on this world.
Oh, it
and
was cute.
Reed wants to tag along because he has British bloodlust. He can hear the hounds braying in his ancestral memory. But he promises he won't kill anything. He just wants to be there to learn their stealth skills.
So he says.
Yeah, but then Archer is sleeping, and he's having a very vivid wet dream that turns out is real. Even though everyone's like, Captain, you're insane. He's like, I can't be insane. That would be not John.
It's not like I've been sniffing pollen like, well, what was
What's
his
his
name?
nuts?
Novakovic did.
Yeah, there we go. I love his... Oh, I'll get to that. So anyway, long story short, there's a sentient race there. One of them got in touch via telepathy and shape-shifting. And she's like, hey, Archer, could you help these people not kill us? And Archer's like, yeah, sure.
Why didn't
And
you
she
just
turns
ask?
out- She turns out to be a flatworm who does the most weirdly adorable look over her non-existent shoulder at the end. That was just
I liked her.
painfully cute. It's like, how did you just make that so cute? It's a fucking CG flatworm, but there we go. Yeah, they find a way to mask the terror spray and everything's fine. The end.
The end.
Hooray.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm going to have a hot take on this.
Oh, snap. Jake's favorite episode.
No. I don't think it was terrible.
It was fine.
It was for an Enterprise episode, top 10.
We're not screaming yet, so.
But like, I know they wanted the hunters to be the bad guys, just like every 90s environmentalist children's movie.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're bad guys. I think that according to human values, they're shitty. And I understand why we don't like them, but I don't know. It just seems like they're doing their thing.
They bring up this point when they're explaining, for some reason it took them several nights to explain what exactly they were hunting, and that it's a telepathic shapeshifter creature. And T'Pol's first reaction is, that sounds like it might be sentient. And they're like, no. It wouldn't qualify as being sentient by any of our definitions. What are your definitions then, sir?
Well, that's why I think, Jake, that actually they are bad guys. Because I think if they genuinely believed anything they were saying, they wouldn't have been so coy about what they were up to. Like, I think on some level, they know what they're doing is fucked up. And that people would, clearly not just humans, would object. So they kind of tried to obfuscate their purpose for a bit. They purposely... Yeah. There was that point where they clearly thought they were on a Wraith's trail, so they made sure Reed stayed behind. Like, if they hadn't been so secretive until they absolutely had to tell the truth, I'd think, maybe they just genuinely have convinced themselves these aren't sentient creatures, but...
then suddenly, once the cat's out of the bag, they just talk about it like it's nothing. Like it's, they saw a fox over there and I killed the fuck out of it.
Yeah. And I feel like, again, sort of like how we've seen this before with fusion, I feel like we've seen a lot of this before. We've seen,
Tusk. Herodians.
Tusk, Herodian, but also just, not even just that, but just like, I'm sure there's been some other case where like a telepathic alien has been like, I need your, no kill
Salt vampire. Even. It was very Salt Vampire.
Yeah.
Because Salt Vampire could also read your mind to say what do you want me to look like?
Yeah.
And I'll become that. And for some reason, even though like they say like, oh yes, it's a very wily prey for us because sometimes it tricks you. And I'm thinking, do the Wraiths sometimes impersonate the hunters?
Ooh, they should.
Why don't they do that all the time?
It does seem like the trick with that though might be like, because even as she's interpreting Archer and all this, like there's still a clunkiness to her speech throughout her whole sort of time with him.
Yeah.
So it could be they have trouble with that aspect, and that would be kind of a giveaway. Like it would probably work the first or second. Maybe they've done it before, but at this point the hunters know to listen out for like speech pattern issues.
Seems like they could probably the Wraiths could pretty easily just kill the hunters by pretending to be something deadly. And
depending on, like, if we're talking Odo-type shapeshifting, we don't know. It sounds like it's different, but couldn't they just become something huge and clawy and just...
Unclear.
Maybe
we don't know a ton about them.
Maybe they're not big on killing. They don't want to kill. They're just flatworms. Flatworms
they're
don't
like
kill.
the writers on Enterprise.
Yeah. And again, no one... Oh, God, that one fucking guy. The, like... lead hunter? I don't know.
I couldn't tell them apart.
No idea which one. I was just looking at your notes and just come across. I have no idea which is which.
Nope, no clue.
But the one
they
who
all
was
look
like,
the same to me.
I loved how the guy was like, my dad went on a trip. He made it back, but his friends didn't. It's like, then you doubly have no need for revenge unless you really liked his friend.
One of his friends got me a beer once.
He let me try a sip before I was old enough. Oh, God.
Yeah, but so the other thing too is even before we know that the animals are sentient, we already have like judgy ass Enterprise crew
and Reed, who's super into it.
Reed just wants to kill.
Yeah, again, like in his ancestral British blood.
Oh,
like,
yeah, he's
the
like
Union Jacks were popping up and chasing after foxes.
He's like, yeah, can I borrow Porthos for a night, Captain? Go rustle up some rats or something.
He like goes back to his quarters and actually whips out one of those ridiculous red hunting jackets and the stupid hat.
Giant shotgun.
Actually, he doesn't have to rustle them up. They just suddenly just appear on him. He didn't even own them before that point. They just manifest like the Green Lantern's fucking uniform.
But yeah, I mean, we just had a conversation in the previous episode about how humans eat chicken and meat and don't have a problem with it.
You said humans, didn't you?
Yes.
I heard Cubans. I heard Cubans too. I definitely heard Cubans.
I mean, Cubans do eat meat. A Cubano is a wonderful sandwich, but more than just Cubans.
If I said Cubans, I apologize. I was trying to say humans.
Fuck, no, I want a Cubano. Fuck.
Yeah, I was trying to say humans. That humans are still eating meat, and apparently just hunting meat is something worthy of judgment versus slaughtering farmed animals, I guess.
Well, so two things. One, they maybe have 3D printed meat, because they do have a protein resequencer. But two, let's be honest, in the real world we have that. Like, I am a hypocrite. I eat meat, but the idea of hunting for sport, like, I find that, like, unless you're actually gonna use the animal for something other than decoration.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were eating the spoils of their hunt.
Oh yeah, they were eating those piggies.
Scene.
Yeah, they were in the boar thing. So like that, I'm like, all right, fine. It's not my bag. I'd rather it be farmed as well. But the wraiths, though, that does feel like it's more of a point of pride thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat that.
Yeah, I think, they look gross. Also,
they might fry up nice. You don't know.
That definitely seems like a trophy hunt.
They might taste like fried clam. Oh,
but
that's anything battered and anyway.
Yeah, and we've seen this species before. The Hirogen obviously were trophy hunters.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Like we did, as just many cultures do, draw this line, hypocritical. Let's be honest, between trophy hunting and food hunting. Like, you're still killing an animal. Like, one isn't inherently better than the other. One serves more of a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a hunter either, and I don't care for it, but I don't know. I don't like when Star Trek preaches to you.
Yeah.
I felt very preached at. In this episode.
Which is very funny, because I know, like, the writer, whoever they gave this episode to write, says, like, I didn't want to make it a preachy thing about hunting because he himself hunts.
Well, he fucked up.
Failed.
Like, seriously, of the group, like, I could get, like, the person who actually comes from a vegetarian culture. Like, they could be like, eh.
Yes,
but,
no thank you, sir.
Yeah, like you said, we don't know that all the meat is resequenced. Some of it is probably real. So, like,
I mean, we know Phlox eats his menagerie from time to time.
Yeah.
Weird.
The food right off of your fucking plate.
Yeah, if there's nobody eating in the mess hall that he can steal food from, he'll just go eat one of his animals.
Although, like, if the meat on the Enterprise is resequenced, then T'Pol wouldn't have trouble eating the fake chicken.
Well,
she definitely did last episode.
Vulcans, it seems like, just tend to stick to vegetarianism even when it's
but then they tell
replicated.
They tell Vulcan Captain Taven, like, this is meat.
Yeah, so that was yeah.
Yeah, I've been assuming that the meat and the food in general on Enterprise is food, like not replicate. Like, it doesn't seem like they really have replicator technology other than perhaps
tea. They can make tea.
They can make.
They've got a Keurig machine, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, they have mentioned protein resequencers, but I think anything at the very least that Archer is getting in, like, the captain's mess, that's probably from the freezer. That's
real food.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that the
pineapple cake.
They probably have food cube technology.
Yum.
Everybody's favorite.
Oh man, of all the stupid fucking prequel shit they could pull that wouldn't annoy me, I'd love to see the food cubes, and I don't know if we ever do. I can't remember.
We'll keep an eye out.
I want a food cube.
Yeah, we do see the compact flashcards every now and again.
We do.
Do we? I haven't noticed.
They're clear plastic instead of solid, but
instead of wooden bricks.
But they are still very big. Because again, apparently during World War III, small memory storage solutions were lost to time.
Or you know what it was? People just kept losing micro SD cards.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking size of a pinky nail.
True.
So somebody was finally like, you know what? We're just going to make them big so we can't lose them.
I keep swallowing mine.
Yeah.
On a starship, you probably want something that's larger, so when you drop it or like the ship rocks,
shakes, yeah.
You know, it doesn't fall down through a floor crevice.
Yeah, I like that new headcanon. It's simply for ergonomics.
All right, so we learned that Archer has been seeing the woman as the woman he used to envision from a poem his mother used to read him about how you should never stop exploring. I'm confused. Why was that significant? Because it should be in an episode in which Archer is feeling low or something.
Right?
But he's not. He's just normal.
Although, let's be honest, Archer's making more sense. Mother, I can't sleep. Oh, well, I could do a normal thing, like read you a story about, from this Mother Goose book or sing you a song, but instead I'm going to read you this poem by Yeats. Was it Yeats or Keats? Either way.
I think it was Keats.
Weird fucking parents, John.
Yeah, it just felt like, I felt like, okay, there should be meaning here. Yeah. Because when Archer talks to her at one point and he's like, oh, I realize what you're from. And it makes me want to believe again. And I'm like, why? Why is this significant? I don't understand.
This is the poem that Pike needed read to him in the cage.
Yeah.
When Dr. Bartender showed up. Dr. Bartender should have showed up with booze and this poem, and the whole episode could have been skipped. Oh.
Yeah. I had that in that final scene with Archer and the woman, I had to keep telling Archer through the television, don't fuck the slug. Just don't do it.
He did out loud.
Don't fuck the slug. Don't put your dick in that.
I was like, go for it.
Fuck that slug.
What's the worst that could happen?
It'll knock him up. Like Trip.
Fair.
She turns into the slug. He kind of makes a face of I don't know, I still might. And all I could think of was when Tony Shalhoub sees what his
in Galaxy Quest?
Shit, what's that species called?
Oh God.
No idea.
The Thermians.
Thermians with a T.
Thermians, yeah,
when he
there it
sees
is.
his Thermian girlfriend, what she actually looks like, and for him he's like fucking whatever. And runs with it.
Well, he seems like he probably likes a tentacle up the butt, if we're being honest.
Nice. Oh God, T'Pol gets a good joke on Archer though when she says something to the point of I bet you wouldn't be searching for the slug thing if it were shaped like a man. And Archer's like, damn it, you're right. Because as we said in the last episode, it's got to be a sexy lady or no one's gonna care.
Yeah, maybe it should have been his dad.
Then he would have known right away that he would have known right away.
He'd think he's nuts.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's be okay, but yes, you're right. It wouldn't have worked for Archer, but for us, we knew right away. I mean, come on, you had to know right away what was going on. It's okay, clearly something on this planet that they're hunting is asking for help. There's no surprise here.
If they wanted to make us guess if it was a real thing, but have it so that Archer knew it must be a hallucination, they should have had it be Mayweather.
Because Mayweather would never be given lines.
Right, yes. Because he'd be like, wait a minute.
Jesus Christ.
Mayweather sure as shit isn't on this away mission.
In this television show. I mean, yeah. I also joked that, so now we're totally fine giving these slug creatures this masking agent thing. So Phlox, I think you're getting in the way of natural evolution on this planet. What gives?
Yeah, I mean, that other species evolved guns and warp drives to come here to wipe them out.
Mm-hmm. Why are you interfering?
I was wondering if that would come up.
I'm glad I did. Fuck Phlox.
Yeah, I mean, this seems pretty, seems like there's some Prime Directive shit here. But again, this is probably a case where the Prime Directive, where you would, if you're preventing basically a genocide, that's probably a good reason to break the Prime Directive.
Well, and like we said last with that episode, they asked for help, so why not? And in this case, the woman asked for help.
Mm-hmm. Took her a little while, but she did.
Yeah.
First, she had to check to see if Archer would figure out what poem she was from. You passed the test.
First, I thought something by Robert Frost, but now I'm not so sure.
Could you be Lenore? One other thing about this episode, as we were mentioning, it is a very fascinating actual science thing to have this rogue planet. And it meant that it's a planet of all darkness, which means they had to like find some really like cheaty ways to light the fucking place.
There was way too much light.
Way too much.
Had no sun.
I did like, though, there were one or two shots of the Enterprise on the dark side of the planet.
Every side is the dark side of the planet.
True. But yeah, it's just where it's basically just its running lights and windows and nacelle lights.
I thought those shots were pretty good. And I liked some of the atmosphere. I think like the campfire scenes were nice.
Not enough rounds of row your boat, though.
That's true.
Any
not a
marshmallows?
single marshmallow to be found.
Always hoping.
I agree, though. The fucking night vision goggle props took me so fucking out. I was like, these are so stupid.
The green ones or the red ones?
Well, the green ones especially. I mean, the red ones, whatever, some alien tech. They didn't look as Fisher-Price.
Yeah.
The green ones looked like a fucking thing. Like, I swear to God, that had to have been like a thing from like a kid's. They used to sell those like home laser tag sets on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
No.
They used to have ads for like, you can play laser tag. I'm sure it didn't work properly.
No, not at all. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, I've seen those ads.
And like they would have things like that. Like you'd have like a little targeting crosshair that you'd wear. And I noticed that the fucking prop had a little crosshair in it. So part of me is like, is this out of like some kid's marksmanship toy?
You should look up what it's from.
They've already made it better because like fucking what was it? Like you said, Bev had one once. Dax had one once with that weird shoot through walls with transporters gun.
Oh, that Dax, yes, Ezri Dax.
The because they didn't have view screens on Dominion warships, they had the little things. There was
the Jem'Hadar's things.
I
that
think
gave Cisco a headache.
Yeah, and Cisco had one for a gun once and the headache one. Like I know, I keep saying it, but the prop design on this show,
it's so bad.
Oh my God, it like you said, Jake, it just fucking shatters the immersion more than any cardboard 1960s set.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's
Dick
the thing.
Rocks everywhere.
The props on TOS looked like fucking tools that people would use.
Yeah.
They were mid-century, but they looked nice. They looked like a fucking tool. And the props on this one looked like fucking toys. And those fucking things, they're also not remotely practical, right? So when do you use night vision most of the time?
In the dark.
When you don't want to use flashlights and things like that, because you're trying to not be conspicuous.
Oh, I thought because you want your hands free for something else, like jerking off.
If you just need your hands free, put on a fucking headlamp.
Oh, that's true.
It's a whole hell of a lot easier than having a night vision goggles.
There was a moment I wondered why they weren't just using a headlamp, because then that could also light the scene in an interesting way.
Yeah. And they did have flashlights. But for some reason, they had these stupid night vision goggles. And if you're designing night vision goggles, the last thing you're going to do, just as like a tactical thing, is make them fucking glow bright green.
Well, but also
from the outside.
Being fair to them, that's just because for some reason at some point in television and film, glowing green became shorthand for night vision. Just like glowing red is...
You see glowing green. Like that's pretty established in fiction. I don't know if that's how it really works. But the night vision goggles themselves do not light up.
Right. No, so what the wearer sees should be glowing green. What someone looking at the wearer should see is a fucking black silhouette.
Yeah, because the person wearing the goggles is trying to be invisible. They're trying to be not seen. Otherwise, they just use a flashlight.
Yeah, no, I know that in reality. But like when you think of like Splinter Cell, Sam Fisher's like it's a video game series.
Sure.
But Sam Fisher's always going around with night vision goggles that glow green for some reason, even though it is explicitly a stealth game. Like, it's just a weird shorthand that they chose to follow, which they shouldn't, if I agree. Also, they're not night vision goggles, Jake. They're night vision monocles.
Monocles.
That's
true. Not sure how that works.
Well, I figure if it falls off your head, you need to be able to see it to put it back on.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah. But seriously, what's the point of a night vision thing that only lets you see through one eye?
That's a good question.
Somebody in their props department thought it would look cool.
Yeah, it's exactly what it was. They thought it would look neat, the fucking idiots.
Still better than palm beacons.
Yeah, those are still the dumbest thing.
Where's plastic symbol falling these days?
I bet you those night vision goggles are made out of plastic symbol material. from the same realm of stupid.
Yeah, at least Plastic Symbol looked like a symbol. This looks like toot. I just hate it.
Yeah, and I just, I know I already made one joke about it, but in these two, I think Mayweather may have had a line in this episode at the very beginning.
Was he in them? Jesus.
He annoyed me again with his line, the poor bastard. I feel so bad for him. Like, now when they give him lines, they're just giving him the dumbest lines. It was like, all those paintings at Starfleet Academy and the captain sure filled us with, shut the fuck up, Mayweather.
But,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's like he's become like the teacher's pet or something.
Yeah.
They've just totally relegated him and Hoshi at this point as well, I feel, as just, also theirs.
Oh God, Hoshi came down to planet. They
That's
figured
right,
out, we can figure out how to talk with them with the universal translator, and then they sent her away.
All right, thanks, Hoshi. Good job.
Never to be seen or heard from again.
Yeah, I actually forgot that she was on the initial away team.
Me too, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I didn't remember that either.
And you watched it more recently than all of us.
Yeah, that's true.
Poor Hoshi.
It's because like they just totally screwed over those characters and do not seem to have any, like, they tried to do a couple episodes with Hoshi, but they gave up.
Well, it's because they made her fucking annoying from the beginning. Like, they made their own problem. She didn't have to be annoying.
Yeah, well,
they wrote her that way, and now they don't know what to do with her.
Julian Bashir started out annoying and grew, so that's they just gave up real fucking fast.
They did.
That show had
I
way
think
better
honestly,
writers.
it to me, it just feels like a cynical, like, okay, we should really have a black character. Oh, and we should probably have, another character of color. Oh, if it could be a woman, that'd be like a twofer because we need more women on the show. Like, it feels like they were just checking boxes, and they're like, all right, well, we've got the background, not white characters. Now we can carry on with the white characters. Like,
yeah. Well, and again, too, the really annoying thing is they both, in theory, should have really interesting perspectives. Because it's like, Hoshi is someone, it's the early days of Starfleet, and she's somebody who's like, this is all very new, and oh my god, maybe this is awful, actually? And has to learn to come to terms with it.
Yeah, but you can't have that on Archer's Enterprise, because Archer's like, so everything is great, and I want to be friends with, I want to teach the world to sing.
But,
I just...
No, you're right. It could have been an interesting counterpoint, though. And again, Mayweather, like, I grew up in space.
Right.
He should have all this, like, even though, like, the interesting thing to do with him would have been, he's wicked young and yet is somehow one of the more experienced people on this ship because of his upbringing. It should have been this interesting, like, tension dichotomy, whatever, of like, he's baby-faced, but actually he's been doing this longer than any of us, except maybe T'Pol over there. But again, couldn't be asked to actually write to that.
Well, it's because it's like they forgot about it. It's like It wasn't even... because the way that feels is almost like that was never meant to be his backstory. It was just a throwaway for one episode, and because we don't bother ever in Star Trek, not ever, but a lot of the time in Star Trek to remember the past, it's just like, oh yeah, did we write that? Whatever.
Yeah, they checked it. Oh, we did Fortunate Son, so we're done. We're not going to discuss that ever again because we've done it once.
Seriously, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an episode later where they say he grew up in San Francisco.
This looks familiar.
These
Were there wheels? Baby fucking wheels?
Yeah. That's the other thing, Will they ever find a way to casually mention the fact that the humpback whale is still extinct at this point?
Probably not, because I don't know how much do we see.
Why would they?
I know.
Why would they go around being like, hey, you know what I just remembered? Humpback whales are fucking extinct.
No, I know. There's
Maybe they'll encounter a space whale and be like, there used to be things like that on Earth.
There's no reason for it to come up, but Ames just made me think of it. It's like, oh yeah, I guess we're at that point where they don't exist because Kirk hasn't stolen any.
I thought you were going to mention cetacean ops or whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah, no, definitely don't have that. They maybe have some goldfish.
No, I mean, clearly. Clearly they don't.
Who does have cetacean ops? The Enterprise D.
D stands for...
D's nuts? Oh, sorry.
So
D stands for moving on.
Moving on to the Enterprise D and the next generation in our blogtivity. For the past couple of weeks, if you've been joining us, and if you haven't, hello, welcome. We're
What a weird
spotlighting-
episode to start with.
Oh boy, yeah, good one, guys. So we're spotlighting all the different Star Trek characters. We've done everyone who made an impression from the original series. Sorry, Rand. We're moving on now
And
to.
sorry, Lieutenant Leslie.
Write your own article, Chris. We're moving on to the next generation. We're going to start, someone who has a lot more stories than Mayweather, Jean-Luc fucking Picard.
Sulu, for Christ's sakes, has more stories than Mayweather.
Right.
Poor Mayweather.
Rand, definitely. I think Rand may have had more lines so far than Mayweather.
The only person who's had fewer lines is Lieutenant Leslie. I think he had, 1, 2, maybe?
Yeah, I can think of once, and I don't think there was another time.
But yes, Jean-Luc Picard.
My good list is very long because I have a ton of backups.
Well, pick 3.
Do you want us to go
I want
first,
someone else to go so I can cross out because I'm sure there will be overlap. Actually, I have no idea. There might not be overlap.
All right, I'll go.
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 So I say, okay, so number 1, I guess not in any particular order, so 1 of the 3. Defending Data in Measure of a Man.
Oh, yay.
Good.
And doing it, for good reasons.
Yeah, we got so many good scenes out of him doing that.
Yeah.
There it
I'm gonna
sits.
I was going to say resisting the Borg, famously believed to be futile. In Best of Both Worlds, he fucking resisted that shit and managed to say the word sleep, which was all we needed. And then I'm going to say his going out in a blaze of glory in yesterday's Enterprise.
Oh, wow. I didn't think of that.
Defending the Enterprise C as they escaped back to their own certain death.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think of that one either. That's a good one.
Neither did I.
I don't know, just that shot of him like taking over the tactical as the ship is like on fire.
Right. What have you got, Chris and Caitlin?
You want to go?
Go before Chris steals a good one.
Telling Wesley to shut up.
Yes, I do have that one. That's a good one.
Good. Telling Wesley to shut up is good. That funny laugh he does in Naked Now.
Yes! I had that on my list as well. I love it.
And shit, I had a third one. I had it. Where is it?
Katamari Damacy.
That's what I thought she was doing too. That's a fun game. I'm terrible at it, but it's fun.
Oh, there are 4 lights.
Oh, well, yeah.
Obviously.
Yay!
Not just because he acts the fuck out of it, but because in spite of being put through horrible psychological torture, he resists Big Brother, etc.
Yeah, that's such a powerful episode.
It's
and
a great
good for
episode,
him.
it really is. But really, if I had to put them in order, that stupid laugh
definitely
is number 1.
Give us a stupid laugh, Chris. Tell us yours, Chris.
I'm going to go with not genociding the Borg,
Nice.
despite really wanting to.
Oh, he so wanted to.
And I get
he
it.
doesn't like to commit war crimes, unlike some captains.
Agreeing to take on Sarek's issues in that episode there.
Oh, and Sarek, the mind with a mind meld.
Yeah.
That wasn't so rapey.
Yeah, well, fucking, what's the word there? Consensual. Mm-hmm. But, taking on a big risk. That could have fried his brain.
Nearly did.
Yeah.
He laughs in the face of danger, does Picard.
Yeah.
And he does that little laugh.
Yeah.
For all we know, that's,
that's
how he got
laughs in the face of
Ironic
danger.
syndrome.
Oh, shit.
That's what I always postulated.
That's a much better explanation.
Yeah, it's the human version of Bendai syndrome.
Nice. And obviously Picard, famous for his big speeches, gonna narrow it down just for shits and giggles to the one from Drumhead.
Ooh.
Yeah, I considered that one.
The speech in Drumhead, I love that.
I figured with Measure of a Man, I already had sort of that.
Yeah.
Like the legal angle covered.
Yeah.
The legal righteousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got one more speech, but I'm going to leave it for my number 1 pick because I have a whole bunch of backups. So let's go with, I really liked that he was Kempek's arbiter thing in Reunion. And it was like him and Kalar figuring out like there was a Klingon ceremonial shit, and he was like, nope, we're doing it my way. We're doing it at 6 p.m. for no reason, because I said so, and I love that. I love taking charge, swinging Dick Picard. Oh, here's another good Picard line. This comes from Peak Performance. He tells this to Data. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not weakness. That is life.
That is life.
And it's so good.
Yeah.
That's a good
It's so
line.
true.
And it's so Picard. It's one of the Picardiest moments.
I actually saw a post somewhere recently. I forget where. I don't know if it was shit posting or some other Star Trek thing. But it pointed out, and I never made this connection, but it is rather obvious once it's pointed out. It's like the perfect sort of counterpoint as far as like when people debate Kirk versus Picard. Picard has that line. Kirk famously in Star Trek II doesn't believe in the no-win scenario.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's, those are like the opposite sides of the coin, yeah.
It gets to the heart of their styles and who they are.
I love that. That's perfect.
Picard is a grown-up.
Yeah.
And I just because, this was already at the tippy top of my list, but for a different line. But I just rewatched a bit from another part that has an even better line. And that is, Picard might be at his peakest Picard in Insurrection when he saves the Baku, a tiny group of people being genocided, you know, like how Phlox loves doing. And actually getting it right. For making up for fucking Journey's End, which is probably going to be something we'll discuss in just a minute. And he says to fucking Doherty, how many people does it take, Admiral, before it becomes wrong? And it is one of the biggest, like, Picard moments that I could think of, and I fucking love that.
Yeah, it's a good moment in an otherwise deeply middling film.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I like the best about Insurrection is that it gets the ethics very right. Like, a lot of the details in the movie are dumb. All the jokes are bad.
Not all of them.
But it got Picard dead on.
But my boobs are so much firmer, or whatever.
God, I wish. So good work, Picard. And my last jokey joke one was the poetry scene from Menage a Trois, because I love that.
Oh, yeah,
I plucked the rose.
That's good. Jake?
Oh, yes. I'm gonna say...
Oh, we're on bad, naughty
We're on
Picard moments.
bad Picard. Well, I'll carry, because this wasn't going to be the first one I'd read, but I'll read it right now because it already just came up. Yeah, participating in the forced relocation of Native Americans.
Oh, yeah.
Again.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, John.
Yeah, I think that's... Yeah, what is it with Johns? Yeah, I think... Yeah, I think that is the single, in my opinion. I'll go ahead and say that's the worst thing that I can think of that he did.
Cheyev, I'll do exactly what you want. How many more? Yeah. Oh, what did she like to eat? There was some pastry that he made for her all the time.
Oh, I don't remember.
Shit sandwich.
That's the one.
Yeah, I don't know. And at the end, the episode kind of pussed out and made it, oh, we're going to work out a deal with the Cardassians and everyone will be happy.
So how that worked out.
And Wesley's Jesus. Oh, no, wait, that's Cisco.
Happened? It's the minute the fucking Dominion War broke out, every one of those people got fucking slaughtered.
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, were the Cardassians going to keep them there? You know, because the only reason they kept left and stay there was as like an act of good faith, it seemed like.
Yeah.
And there was very little good faith.
Well, I think the idea was they all turned into Maquis and rose up or something.
No, the ones that weren't killed.
Maybe.
Anyway, I'm going to say being a little bitch in Rascals. Literally.
I mean, to be fair, his brain had probably been fucked up, but...
No, it was still very much him in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
And he just like, I don't know, he just came off as a panty waist.
I want to see my daddy Riker now.
Yeah, well, and that was like part of a ruse, so that's fine, I guess. But just like, I don't know, didn't care for the actor that they got.
No.
You know, didn't work for me. Bad Picard. And then, actually, I take it back. Relocating Native Americans may not have been the worst thing he did.
Oh, it was definitely Rascals then.
The worst thing he did was the fucking dune buggy antics in Nemesis.
I have so many moments from Nemesis on my list. It's going to be absurd.
Oh,
anyway,
boy.
There we go.
Caitlin?
It's pretty uncool how he killed Junior's mom and Galaxy's child.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, a brand new species. Pew pew.
Whoopsies. Now it's mommy.
I know it's not really his fault, but Locutus was a real piece of shit and did a lot of war crime.
Locutus?
What did I say?
Locutus.
Yeah, I meant Locutus.
Loquacious.
Facetious. No, yeah. And then he was kind of a dick to Cisco when he finally met him.
I thought Cisco was kind of a dick to him.
Yeah, Cisco was a dick to Picard. I think Picard gave it back in kind.
Picard earned it.
Yeah, but
He was upset. He was possessed by Borg.
I know.
Yeah, I know. But still.
I just, it's more fun to be difficult.
Fun.
And yeah, that time that he was a child was terrible. Have to agree. Oh, but didn't he actually, wait a minute, in all seriousness, didn't he like guilt that one character into going to her death?
Oh, was it Cedo
Lower
Jaxa?
Decks or whatever?
It was Cedo, wasn't it?
Is that right?
Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah.
Must be, yeah.
Yeah.
So that
that's
kind of
fucked
sucks.
up.
I mean,
he didn't know.
It was
He didn't know she was going to die necessarily, but he was... So, okay, just to segue, this is the number one on my list. Guilting Cedo Jaxa into that mission. He definitely guilted her into that mission.
He did. Regardless of if he knew she would die or not. It's like, you're doing this because you have to make it up to me in specifics.
Because look what I did for you.
You hung out with Wesley once.
So yeah, that's my number one is Cedo Jaxa. I have never forgiven him for that. Number 3 on my list had also been Johnny fucking Prime Directive Picard being like, the best way to search for these signals on this pre-industrial world is to just boop on down in broad daylight and dune buggy to hell and back. And let's just start shooting. What the fuck cultural contamination bullshit is this, John?
Right?
What the actual fuck? And number 2, I am actually going to say telling Wesley to shut up. Because that time Wesley was right.
Whoa.
I mean, that's the whole point of Wesley, is everyone always tells him to shut up, and he's always right.
But that's the famous one everyone highlights. It's like, but he was right. It was lore. You idiot.
Oh, right, lore. Yeah, Wesley was
That's
like, guys.
why he was objecting. I'm pretty sure something's wrong.
I have something
listening.
important to say.
But for once he did. So yeah, Dune Buggy, Wesley, Cedo Jaxa.
Now I'm conflicted about the Wesley moment. I mean, it's not on my bad list, but I do have some fucking trash on my list. Now, let's knock off more Nemesis while we're here. I have 2 moments. I'll pick one, but I'm going to tell you both of them anyway. The one that's going to definitely go on the list is how fucking conflicted he was about the whole Shinzon thing. Because the whole fucking movie long, it's like, oh, Shinzon is me. And everyone's like, no, he's not. Here's other examples of things that look like other things that aren't the same. Picard, no.
I mean, if they had maybe made it more explicit that, like, maybe it's because he's still kind of stung over the fact that he's the last Picard.
Oh, that didn't come up at all.
It didn't. It never
That's
even
still
occurred to me.
from generations. No,
Yeah.
They don't remember that. That was ages ago.
Like, maybe if that had been part of it, it's like, oh my god, it's a way to kind of sort of maybe save the line that I feel guilty about dying with. But yeah, no, he should not have been conflicted.
Well, he can always, he's still a young man. He could have a child with someone, and that would have the last name Picard.
I'm very glad you're not.
The great news is as long as he's alive, he can keep pumping out kids.
He should adopt.
It doesn't matter about his age.
He should just adopt that shitty mountain climber boy.
Oh yeah, he came
Just
around
actually-
eventually.
Mountain climber boy.
Yeah, just actually make him his son. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
That's fine. Yeah, I thought all of that part of Nemesis, I remember doing so much yelling about when we covered it, and god damn it has to make my list. The other smaller moment from Nemesis I just want to bring up while we're here, while we're shitting on Nemesis, as we tend to do, I tend to do. He orders Worf for the wedding ceremony on Beta Z to go naked when Worf said he didn't want to be naked, and I'm never going to forgive Picard for that because it should be a person's choice.
That's true.
And
I really hate when captains do that, where they fucking make an order that they have no right to be making.
No, like order Cedo to her death, order Worf to strip. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I mean, he absolutely had the right to order Ceto to her death.
Well, okay, to be fair, he didn't order her to her death.
Yeah, it wasn't and it was, even if it was just an order, that's one thing. I think the thing that people have problems with is that it was a guilt trip.
Yeah. Like, it's a voluntary mission, but I'm going to tell you it's a voluntary mission after I've laid all this at your feet.
Yeah, and we do learn...
Yeah, I agree with Worf.
Yeah, we learn in that book series, Imzadi, it is optional.
God
Being naked is optional. Sure, the Betazoids will do it.
I still have to read Imzadi.
I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it a lot, Caitlin. It's pretty good.
Oh, I know I'm going to love it. It's just being able to read.
Poor illiterate Caitlin.
It's hard to read in this discotheque in which you
it's not.
She's on a rogue planet.
It's about ADHD. Like, I sat down. I was recently sitting in a waiting room for 3 hours while someone had a procedure, and I had brought a book, and I was able to get through exactly the introduction, and was then like, I cannot possibly read any more book today. Like,
waiting room reading does also suck.
Well, it was my own book, but it's really...
No, I mean, like, sitting in a waiting room, it's very distracting.
It was pretty empty most of the day, thankfully.
Oh, that's good.
At any rate, though, the point is it's more about my ability to sit still and read a book for a long time, not so much... Not the light situation that you see here. There is light in there's light in other parts of the house.
Have you tried putting on one of those night vision goggles?
Oh my god, I wish.
All right, but I have two more Picard moments I gotta go over. One, doesn't fucking check up on Moriarty after putting him in stasis or some shit.
Nope, he does not.
It's like, oh, I wonder what happened to you. Oh god, you're back.
Well, that's certainly a famous thing for Star Trek to do.
True.
How about those people we dropped on that planet?
SETI Alpha 5, that's probably fine.
Cisco definitely never sent anyone to check in on zombie Kaiopaka.
Nope. No, definitely not. She's dead and undead.
Janeway is the only one who had an excuse, because she explicitly couldn't come back.
Oh, for the lizard babies.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, very last stupid shit thing Picard did that I think I'd have to give him guff for comes from one of our least favorite episodes, Up the Long Fucking Ladder.
Oh, God.
Where he just... he decides for everyone, hey, Irish colony, your women are gonna bang all the clones
that's right!
To make more people, because they're out of people. And you're all gonna be okay with it, because I said so. But what is this?
Wow, that's I forgot about that. That is straight up weird sex cult shit. I'm in charge now, I say who fucks.
Yeah, and
Picard
the one woman is into it.
understands the Irish, that's all.
Whoa. Listen, we only saw the one girl who was really into it because she's like, oh, I get to be with 8 men. Ooh.
Oh, I can... I'm gonna go up that long ladder, if you know what I mean.
I don't.
Oh my god, what is happening?
That whole show is so lucky it didn't end right there, because... in an alternate timeline, Colomini burned the sets down overnight. He went, fuck it, it's not worth it. This isn't fucking worth it.
You know what, he was going to destroy the set, but he would have had to climb up to a catwalk, and he would have had to gone up a really long ladder to do that. Caitlin, you might be interested to know that there is an Imzadi audiobook narrated by Johnny Frakes.
Ooh,
by Jonathan Frakes?
I like that.
Frakes.
Oh shit.
That's pretty sexy.
That's very sexy. That does interest me. Thank you. I'll be in my bunk.
Another honorable mention.
Yeah.
Bad Picard. I wanted to make mention of this honorable mention that I'll mention right now. Getting in a fucking bar fight and getting killed.
Not a good look for you, Picard.
Yeah.
I would like to wrap this up with an honorable stroke dishonorable mention. It is simultaneously
is it on both lists?
It is the best and worst thing Patrick Stewart has ever done in Star Trek.
Perfect. I love it already.
And it will be our one example from Picard.
Okay.
So, spoilers for season 1 of Picard. That fucking French accent.
Yeah.
I love it. I hate it. It's the best. It's the worst.
I mean,
Fair
it's a dead
enough.
language, so... Oh, let's say anything from Descent.
What did he do in Descent?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said Descent. I meant fuck. What's the one? I can't remember the name of it. The
What
one
is
where
it?
he goes undercover with the
Gambit.
pirates.
Oh,
Gambit. That's the one.
That
He
was
was fine in Gambit.
He was fine, but that episode is so dumb.
Yeah, the episode was
It's one
dumb.
of Chris's favorite episodes.
Oh God, here's what's dumb. Him somehow not knowing anything about Risa?
He was faking it. He was faking it.
Yeah, there is no way.
Like most of the women on Risa.
Okay, one of
He didn't
my
even know how to use that Horgon.
one of my joke ones in Times Square when he just goes and kills the other him and doesn't tell anybody about it. So he just lets, I think it was Pulaski and O'Brien just walk in on a dead him in cargo bay.
I forgot about
And he
that.
still wouldn't kill Shinzon. Like, come on, man.
Right? You're a fucking master at this by now, bro.
You already killed yourself.
Weird.
Oh, well.
Isn't it great reminiscing about Star Trek that was good?
Well, we also reminisced about Nemesis.
Well,
But
That's the
comparatively.
thing. Like Nemesis is contemporary with the Star Trek Enterprise that we're watching.
That's true.
Oh my god.
It's
Just a bad
It
era.
was a dark time. The
Yeah,
early,
no
the
wonder-
early aughts.
No wonder after these ended, there was no Trek for a while.
Is there a chance that next week we could get our hands on some relief when we look at Acquisition and Oasis?
I'm excited about Acquisition,
Wait, I
theoretically.
thought you were going to make a Beyond Belief reference because next week we're also going to be covering William Riker.
That
Yay.
too, but no, I was playing on the titles. But yes,
Ah.
Acquisition, Oasis, and everyone's favorite Bill, which they call him, twice in the course of the entire fucking series, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
So join us then. As always, follow us on the SoundCloud and the Facebook and whatever else. Hey, if your podcast app lets you, fucking review us for shits and giggles.
Yay! 5 stars.
5 stars.
Yeah, 5 or 10 or whatever metric it uses, give
However
us
many stars you can give us those.
however many
Crocodile
bottles
sticker.
on Untapped.
Crocodile sticker.
We should have called ourselves 5 stars to steer her.
And check out the Tumblr to see not just this, but all of our previous character go-overs and fan fictions and articles and all kinds of things, 99% of which comes from Ames.
I like that the outro to these episodes has gotten really sloppy because it feels like it fits Enterprise. You're like, I don't know, find us on social media.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
it's a thematic choice, not
It
just me
feels like
fucking
it
up.
fits, you know?
No, this is totally on purpose. Viewers, you can't tell it, but I've early 2000s, what's the word? Frosted tip
Frosted
to my
tips.
hair. I have awful plastic chunky fucking props everywhere. Yeah, it's
Okay,
awesome.
now do the class photo joke again.
So it's photo day on the NX1. This has been Chris.
Cheese! This has been Ames.
Oh, fuck, I blinked in that one. This is always Caitlin.
And Frog.
Oh shit, someone's taking a picture. Fuck, Jake. Bye. I'm going to say what was the episode with the Tuities?
With what?
The Tuities.
What?
The episode that had the Tuities.
The Binars?
No, the Tuities.
Jake, explain your joke. We don't get it. The two of these what? Boobs?
These nuts!
Hey!
Angels and ministers of grace defend us.
Why?
I don't know, because Caitlin said D's nuts earlier, and I had to get
Also
into D's
say
nuts.
it. Fair enough.
Good. That kind of
Don't
wink.
worry, Jake, there's always room for D's nuts.
Anyway,
So what you're saying then is Captain's Holiday when we got a good shot of D's nuts.
Yeah.
that's right. There you go. Well done.